How the sausage is made. That's what we are talking about today. And it is important because people need to understand context. And I'm having this conversation because it's kind of gotten slightly irritating when it comes to we're still having these conversations about red, blue, man, woman, all of these different things that are inconsequential to understanding power, influencing institutions, and being able to take advantage and actually change our lives. We need to understand that when we talk about understanding how the sausage is made, understand that first off, and I'm going to say this because I'm going to use this as an example, voting is not important. It is not as important as people make it seem, I'll say. It is 10% of a 100% process in terms of engaging stakeholdership. Understand that when we talk about how the sausage is made, that Lucifer, when in the Garden of Eden, talking to Adam and Eve, did not get them to eat the apple by lying to them. In this moment, he told them the truth, but had a great omission. So, what he said is, eat from this tree and you will be like thee, you will be like that. I'm just paraphrasing, thus becoming a God yourself in consciousness, right? And what he doesn't explain is the consequence. And the reason that this is important to understanding how the sausage is made is because we keep having conversations that are redundant. We keep having conversations and people continue to ask, why do we have so much access to information, but yet the society is still not equipped, or the masses is still not equipped to weaponize itself against said institutions? And it is because you are consuming the sausage, but you don't have the context to how the sausage is made. You don't have context to the process, the supply chains, the pipelines, etc. Because that is also more important than the actual sausage itself. And we are just blindly consuming without understanding the full context. So back to voting. There is processes that happen before and after voting that are far more important. For example, I can have a conversation with somebody and they say, hey, yo, Devon, what do you think about this conversation? What do you think about this topic? What do you think about this piece of legislation? So everybody has their level of confidence and they up in ranks. So you will have a ranking of confidence, and some may be more close to the community and some not, right? And then from there, they'll take that process and run it through other stakeholder groups, whether that be NGOs. So you strength test it and see how it goes over with the actual public itself. You run surveys. You do all of these different things. You do all of these different levels of engagement that happens before the election. Because always understand that politicians and in the political arena, they're always campaigning. You're never not campaigning, right? So, with understanding how the sausage is made, you must understand from calf inception to the food that is being fed so you can know how well the calf will hold up to the elements. Then you got to understand the process of unaliving said. Then you got to understand the process and the supply chain and the line in which it goes and travels to and through, and then pumped with all of whatever it is pumped with, etc. So that when you consume it, you can understand the consequence of consuming said thing. Because if you don't, you end up just blindly consuming. And yes, it is blissful, and yes, it is delicious, but it still does not remove the consequence. And that is why it is important to understand how the sausage is made. That is why we continue to find ourselves in these situations with people who we vehemently disagree with, or that we think that we are powerless, because you don't understand that the context is how you synthesize and thus how you weaponize whatever it is that you are planning to do as it relates to engaging institutions and penetrating and reimagining how they work. Because that's what this is. That's what this process is. And so I would like to say to people that you need to be very, very aware of what is being omitted. People always often say that, "Oh, Devon, you need to break your stuff down for all of these long videos." I'm going to tell you a little secret. It is only brilliant for the person who is breaking down said content because it is a form of manipulation. And why do I say that? Because me, if I give y'all, let's say, oral thesis on a particular concept that I understand, or a particular piece of legislation, a summary, let's say, right? I have full context. I have read thousands and thousands of pages. I have experienced and been in groups with people who have institutional knowledge that shapes and forms the policy and shapes and forms how it will move through institutions, influence said institutions. And thus, when I am breaking all of that down, because you don't want to sit and listen to maybe 20 to 30 minutes versus two, you're losing out on the actual nutrients, the thing that is going to actually help you understand in full depth what it will take. Which is why when people give their policy platforms, people will say, "Oh, well, they didn't give us what we said we was going to get," because you didn't know that policy that they presented was a 10-year policy, was a 12-year policy. Which is why when I run for office, I'm going to have a dual pronged policy. See, I'm already ahead of these players who be out here poverty pimping, because part of it is that you have to, what I was always trained in is set the expectation. And the expectation is that anything that is in a policy platform is said and expected to be done within your tenure or term. But you must understand, as the person who is receiving said thing, that I have condensed that down, and you are missing tons and tons and tons of context, and it does not serve you. But it is a tool that we have weaponized against people in the political arena, because we understand that people are not smart and it is easy and they are lazy, and we weaponize the laziness against itself. I'm just going to give you a little secret. People don't respect y'all. People don't like y'all. But they call me crazy because I'm willing to tell y'all how these things go. But tell me in my comments, do you think it's important to understand how the sausage is made? Are you willing to sit for 30, 40-minute videos, or are you willing to read, like I tell my son, the boring book that you know you aren't going to like, but it's necessary? Like I tell him, it's just like eating your veggies. No, they're not always good, but it's necessary. Can't always eat candy, sir. But we act like kids when it comes to information, and yet we sit and ask ourselves, with everything that's happening and everything that's going on, we continue to do the same things in the same way and expect different results. Everybody's acting this is business as usual, and yet it is not. But you expect things to turn out different. And I am here to tell you that people expect you and know and have conditioned the environment to be and operate in the way that they can take advantage of, which is you being lazy, and not even lazy, but actually hijacking a human trait that wants the path of least resistance. But what do I know? Y'all tell me. Let me know what y'all think.